I've talked about transitions before, but this still tends to be a really important and difficult concept for a lot of beginner dancers to get. And part of the problem is that a lot of tutorials don't even talk about transitions at all. They only talk about the core moves in a specific combo. And they just expect that you're going to be able to move seamlessly between each of those moves. But actually, what happens between moves is pretty important, because if your feet aren't in the right place to progress from one move to the next, then your combo isn't going to look right. So I'm going to talk specifically about this combo that I've just put together. This is a 4-count combo with 4 different moves. That means only 1 count per move. And so you have to be thinking pretty quickly and planning for each of those transitions between each of the moves, and you don't have a lot of time to do it. Sometimes if you're doing kind of an easier combo, it might have a lot of repetition, like 4 Polly Pockets in a row before you change moves. And in that case, it's a little bit easier to plan how you're going to do that. But when you have a really short, densely packed combo like this one, you have to think really quickly. And I really like how I created this combo because it's going to give you some good experience working on the X. Now, you've seen probably people who've put X's on the floors or lines on the floors to help them get the right directionality. I don't do that. I find the tape on the floor method to be kind of confusing. But in my mind, I have to be thinking about working on those angles, especially for this combo, because we're going to have a Polly Pocket, which is done at an angle. We're going to have a back step, which is done at this angle. Then we're going to have a T-step, which is done at this angle. Then we're going to have a running man, which is done at this angle. So I'm literally hitting all corners of the X. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, let me talk through this first with a demo, and then I'll break it down a little bit further. Okay, we're going to start with a Polly Pocket. So we're just going to face forward. It's going to be a left perch Polly Pocket. It's going to be and, 1, and. Okay, now I've returned to the center perch facing forward. And the reason I did that is because I know my next step is going to be a back step, but it's not a back step this direction. It's a back step wrapped all the way around. So I went from Polly Pocket at this end of the X. I'm going to go back to center here, and then I'm going to go all the way this direction. So in that case, we have just a standard transition. We're returning exactly where we started at the beginning of the combo. Okay, so again, facing forward. Polly Pocket at an angle. Return to facing forward. Back step at an angle. And now from here, we're going to initiate the T-step. And I don't want to initiate the T-step from a forward position, because if I were to return to perch here and do a T-step, I don't have any pivot room. I only have just a tiny little pivot, and that doesn't look very impressive. So instead, when I come back out of that back step, I want to stay facing this direction. So now I'm perched at a diagonal, and in doing that, I'm able to get a nice big T-step swing all the way from here to here versus center to here. Can you see the difference? Okay, so we did the back step. We came out at an angle. Now I'm facing this diagonal. I'm going to do a T-step to face the other diagonal here. And then I actually want to return to the same diagonal again because I want to do an angular running man. My running man is going to be this direction. So just one single running man, back up to perch. Okay, now I'm perched still in the same direction. I could have perched all the way back to center, but I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because my next move is to repeat that combo on the other side. And now by positioning myself already this direction, I can go straight into that Polly Pocket. So that's going to be and 1. Okay, now I have to do the wrapping back step. So I want to return to center facing forward and then back step. Now I want to be able to do that awesome heel pivot. So I'm going to return to this direction so that I can get a good long T-step pivot back to this direction again so that I can get that last running man. And I'm ending here so that I can begin the Polly Pocket all over again. Now you might think that that's a lot to have to remember, not only the moves, but everything that you're doing in between the moves, and it is initially. But what's great about getting a lot of practice is that after a while, as long as you know what move you're going into, your feet are going to naturally land in the right transition. I swear it's just going to happen magically one day. You're going to know the T-step is coming, and you're going to automatically land in a T-step perch position. But initially, you are probably going to have to think about each of those individual perches. And it's worth it to do it. Believe me, it's worth it to focus on this. Because if you never learn how to do these angular transitions, your cutting shapes are never going to actually look like cutting shapes. It's going to look more like a river dance. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. Let's do it together. Starting on a left perch. I'm going to go nice and slow. And 1, return to center facing forward, wrap around. 2, return to center at an angle. 3, return to center at an angle. 4, stay at the same angle. Now we're going to do it on the other side. 1, return to center perch facing forward for the wrap. 2, return to perch at the angle. 3, return to perch at the angle. 4, return to perch at the angle. And now a little bit faster. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay, I'm going to do it one more time at tempo from the back so that you can follow along. Okay, so I hope that all made sense. Please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.